So you're studying for the highly competitive UGC NET Management exam. You know, it's a huge challenge, but what if I told you the key to success wasn't just about cramming facts and figures? What if there was a completely different and honestly a more human way to study?
I mean, does this question hit home for you? If you're just completely exhausted by those endless checklists and super dense, abstract theories, believe me, you are not alone. It's a common frustration, and it's a real roadblock to actually learning this stuff.
You know, the real problem with the traditional way of prepping for these exams is that it often feels so disconnected from the real world. It just forces you into this cycle of memorization that doesn't always lead to the deep understanding you actually need to ace the test.
Okay, so look at this. It's like two totally different worlds, right? On one side, you've got the old way, just rote memorization, dry checklists, and theories that feel like they're from another planet. But on the other, you have this narrative approach that promises real conceptual clarity, emotional resonance, and practical connections. It's the big shift from just knowing a fact to truly getting it.
So, how do we make that shift? How do we get from that dry, boring side to the more engaging one? Well, the solution we're digging into today reframes the entire study process as a story. It's a completely fresh take on exam prep.
Let's get specific. The book is called A Journey Through UGC NET Management. And its core idea? It's simple, but wow, is it powerful. The entire syllabus is explained through a conversation, so you're not just reading a textbook, you're basically listening in on a chat between two MBA grads, Mira and Ara.
And get this isn't just some random one-off idea. It's actually part of a bigger series by author Ashish Chaddha called the UGC NET Exam Annotated Journeys. That tells you that this whole narrative style is a really deliberate and well-thought-out teaching strategy.
Okay, so a conversational classroom, what does that even mean? How can a conversation actually take the place of a lecture hall? Well, it's all about making the entire experience relatable and, human.
First up, you meet your guides, Mira and Arav. And seriously, think of them less as fictional characters and more like your study buddies who are right there on this journey with you, breaking down the concepts with empathy and real clarity. And check out where all this learning happens. It's not some stuffy, sterile lecture hall. Nope. These conversations are happening on library benches, during late-night study sessions on a terrace, and over chai breaks in Chennai. These are familiar places, which makes the whole learning process feel so much more grounded and way less intimidating.
And this, right here, is where the magic really happens. The book doesn't just throw theories at you, it connects them to things you can actually picture. So, complex economic ideas get explained through something as simple as the price of a filter coffee. And HR concepts suddenly make sense when they're part of a story about union negotiations. It just makes the abstract totally tangible.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. A story sounds nice and all, but is it really going to get me ready for the actual exam? That is a totally fair question. So let's look at how the book connects its cool narrative style with the practical demands of the UGC NET.
Well, first off, let's be clear. This is a substantial guide. We're talking 378 pages. So this isn't some light, fluffy overview. It's a really deep, comprehensive journey that has plenty of room to explore every single topic thoroughly.
And here's the most important part, for sure. Even with this totally different format, the book gives you complete coverage. It tackles all 10 units of the management syllabus. That's code 17. You are not going to miss a thing.
And then it gets even more practical. The final section is all about practice, with multiple choice questions straight from past papers. But it doesn't just stop at giving you the dry technical explanations. It also includes what the author calls emotionally decoded answers. This is so cool. It connects the logic of the answer right back to the relatable human experiences they talked about in the story. It just reinforces that deep understanding is both an intellectual and a personal.
All right, so after hearing all of that, the big question is this narrative journey the right path for your exam prep? Let's kind of weigh the pros and cons here.
On the one hand, the strengths are pretty obvious, right? You've got this innovative storytelling, the comprehensive coverage, the practical examples, and those built-in practice questions. All huge pluses. But on the flip side, there are some limitations you got to think about. The unconventional style might not be for everyone, and it definitely requires sustained engagement. This is not the book for last-minute cramming or just skimming for quick summaries.
And all of this kind of leads to a much bigger final question. This book is just one example of a really powerful trend. It makes us think beyond just this one exam guide and ask ourselves, is learning through dialogue, through storytelling, through human connection, is that the future of education?
It's a pretty fascinating thought to end on.